indeed. Yes, indeed. Y'all know what that sound means. Yup. Yes. There you go. The DM Gaming Morning Show, y'all. We have so much to talk about today. And we got a little bit of extra time, y'all, because we have been upgraded, y'all, to an on-air talent. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Want to thank everybody for stopping in this morning. Oh, there you go. It has been a very extremely eventful past couple of weeks in sports in general. You've had the scandal going on in the NCAA. You've had protests. I'm not going to call them anthem protests because, being real about the situation, they're not protesting the anthem. There's a lot of different things being protested. But you've had those things going on. Baseball even has had some things going on. College football has had some things going on. If you are a sports fan, like it or love it, there has been so much going on. So, in NCAA basketball news, of course, if you haven't heard, the NFL, no, the FBI has been investigating several people within the NCAA as well as with Adidas for bad things, man. I mean, right now, Louisville is in the spotlight of all of this right now. They have put their athletic director as well as their head coach, Rick Pitino, if I'm pronouncing correctly, on administrative leave. Now, the athletic director is on administrative leave, but he's still getting paid. Pitino is not. And so, I mean, everybody's probably getting the drift that they're just going to let him go. He has been through a lot at Louisville. They just are kind of peeking their head above ground from the whole escort scandal that went on there as well. And this raises a lot of questions as well as a lot of concerns. And yesterday, y'all, I really had to take a backseat and look at the entire composite of this, because these things go on in basketball. Who's to say they don't go on in football and other collegiate sports? And to me, I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy that these things are coming to the light, because it's not fair that things like this happen and these colleges get these big time recruits. And maybe that's why we see so much of the same teams in big games, in championships and stuff like that. We talked about that at the end of yesterday's show. So I have to sit back and wonder, because to me, this can be resolved in one way. It can be resolved in many ways, but one way that I feel like things like this can be resolved, that they don't happen or don't happen as much, is if you pay your players. Why is it? And this is, to me, is one of the biggest topics we'll discuss today. Why is it that college athletes don't get paid, yet the universities can profit, and they do profit, in the millions of dollars from these student athletes? Yeah, sounds like a bad guy to me. So once again, y'all, we're going to have to put the NCAA in the hot seat. And this seat is indeed hot.
Get comfortable for that.
It's hot. Now, I'm a huge college football fan, and I'm video game and everything, and I'm a gamer. It's part of what we do. And not having the college football game and basketball game because of those reasons. And it's, I mean, I was one of the ones, because I've been to college. I played college ball at Southern Arkansas University, home of the Mule Riders. Played along guys like Cedric Thornton, who's now with the Buffalo Bills, Don Unamba, who's with the Hamilton Bearcats. Are they the Bearcats? They're not the Bearcats. Hamilton Tigers. I'm sorry. He's in the Canadian League. Played alongside with guys like that. And it's amazing because, I was one of the ones that was like, well, it's not really fair that these athletes, that the guy argued about, well, they don't get paid and stuff like that. Now, so I'm kind of at a medium. I'm not going to say that they should get paid from the university. Let me explain what I feel. Because in some of these big time programs, a lot of these student athletes get paid. I mean, they get full ride scholarships. Now, let me put this into perspective for you. I went to Southern Arkansas University, which is a Division II school in Magnolia, Arkansas. It cost about I say going there maybe 3 years. It's probably about $10,000 a year at Southern Arkansas. I was there for about 3.5 years, and it was about $30,000. And this was back 2006ish in that time frame. 2006, 7 in there. My cousin went to SMU, Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Played running back there. 1 year was about 30 grand. You get what I'm saying? So, and so you look at some of these big time programs, these big time Division I schools, it costs a lot to go there. So you look at, let's say, $30,000 a year over a span of 4 years. That's $120,000 roughly, And the thing about that is this: they don't have to pay. Whereas me, I'm still right now paying back student loans. You see what I'm saying? Guys that are on full rides to these universities and colleges, they're getting thousands of dollars worth of free education. So yeah, in a way they are being paid. It's just going towards their education. Because let's be real, I don't like the idea of giving them a full ride scholarship plus paying them. So what I feel like should be done, because if you just give them the money, who's to say that they're going to put it towards their education? They end up not in school. So it is a responsible thing for the university to put that money towards the school. I feel like those athletes should be able to be paid by outside sources. I.e., hey, if the boosters want to pay them, the boosters can pay them. If they want to get endorsement deals, they can get endorsement deals. And even more so in basketball, because in football, there is a plethora of players. There's more college football players than there are basketball players in college. That's just so, because the teams aren't as big. Football, you have 50, 60, 70 guy rosters. Basketball, you don't have as many. And so in line with what's going on right now in the NCAA, you can have these guys out there, why not let them, if Adidas wants to make a shoe deal with this guy in college, let them make a shoe deal with this guy in college. Just like the kicker, the YouTube guy that was a kicker at UCF. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he end up losing his scholarship because he was making YouTube videos while he was enrolled in college and on the team? And everybody knows about YouTube. You can monetize those videos and get paid for them. Now, that is considered a violation of NCAA rules. And that's not fair. That is not right. I don't agree with that, because the school is going to make millions off of these athletes, yet these athletes, you can't even make $5 for yourself unless you do work study. And let me tell y'all something about being a college athlete. And this was just on the Division II level. I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that at some Division I schools, it's a lot more labor and time intensive. So during the season, let's back up. Let's start at two-a-days. And y'all young high school guys, y'all listen up, because it's a huge wake-up call, because there are some high school athletes that go to college and don't make it because they're not prepared for it. College is nothing like high school. So, two-a-days. Okay, two-a-days, you probably wake up 6 o'clock in the morning for breakfast at 7, 7 to 8 o'clock breakfast. Then you got position meetings, and then you got practice, and then you got lunch, and then you got a little break, and then you got dinner, and then you got more practice followed by position meetings. Your day starts at about 8 o'clock in the morning, doesn't end until about 10 o'clock at night. And you're doing that every day for 2 weeks or until, school starts or the first week of play. Now, once the season starts, it does get a little bit easier, but no, it doesn't, because you got class. You still have to wake up for breakfast check every morning, and not to mention tutoring and things like that, plus classes, workouts, weights. You literally don't have a life during football. Now, off season is where it gets a little bit different. You get a little more time on your hands because you don't have practice, you don't have games. But you're waking up in off-season training. We woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go train. And then you had breakfast check at 8. Then you had whatever your classes was. Then you had workout, weight training and stuff like that. And so you had a little bit more freedom in the afternoon. But I'm going to tell you something. It is a lot of work. It is a ton of work. It's not easy. It's hard enough being a college student as is. Topple that with being an athlete on top of that. I mean, it is a lot that goes on. So don't get me wrong, it's tough work, but it's one of those things where, like I said, yeah, they're paying for your school, but wouldn't it be great if you allowed these kids to make money? I don't think that it's fair. If the NCAA can sit there and say that these kids can't make money, then why is it fair that they can work for the university and make money and be a college athlete? Is that fair to say? I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say that if you will allow these kids to work for the university, they call it work study. Because I did it, my cousin did it. A lot of guys on football and basketball programs do it. They do it and the school pays them. How is that fair? But it's not fair for them to work on their own time, say their YouTube channel, or for them to, and I know what they're saying, but you're representing is my thing with that. If they're representing the university in a positive light, there should be nothing wrong with it at all. At all. Yeah. At all. Which drives home the point, y'all, of the NCAA sports series in video games. When you have a company like EA Sports who was willing to pay players to have their likeness in these games, at least they're doing something right. Because it's not fair that the NCAA can profit off of their likeness and these players don't see adequate compensation. And I know it goes back to, and I made the same argument. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I made the same argument. They're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarship. And let me tell you something. The facilities, I'm not going to talk about the sponsorships, because the sponsorships are from, say, SMU, for instance. When my cousin was there, they were sponsored by Nike. I mean, they would get gloves when they wanted them, cleats, socks, shirts, wristbands. Oh man, they would get, and they could just go in and get it because Nike provided it for free. They didn't have to pay for it. They just went in and got it. So that's what the sponsorship, though. I'm talking about the stuff that the university provides. Even in a home game, they would stay in a hotel in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? They would literally stay in a hotel for a home game. You get what I'm saying? We didn't have that luxury, and did they feed us after the games? I mean, we might get sandwiches or something like that. These guys would have pizza, Popeyes, I mean, it's lavish. And then not to mention at the D1 level, the level of training that they get, as well as a pipeline almost straight to the NFL for a chance to make it to the NFL. So it's when you value all of that stuff together, it's well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars per athlete. So I get that. But like I said, if the school can sell your jersey and profit off of it, it's not fair that you can't do something to profit off of your own image. You're basically selling yourself to the university, and that's what I don't agree with. To me, I know I kind of ranted on about that, but to me, that's one of those things that I feel like if they allowed athletes to get sponsorships and things of that nature, what you're looking at right now in the NCAA, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So that's my take on that. So you know what? Get him out of here, man. It's not fair that but then at the same time, these athletes don't have to accept it. I know somebody's in the background saying that, well, they don't have to accept that money. Think about this. You live in a pretty bad neighborhood. You see your parents, or single parent for that matter, struggling to pay bills. Sometimes you don't have water. Sometimes you don't have lights. Sometimes your parent or parents go without eating just so you can eat. You don't have the best school clothes. You go to school and see everybody with new stuff while you wearing stuff that you've had for years, torn up and things like that. Not saying everybody's the same case, but let me finish. You grow up in a bad neighborhood where it seems like nobody's able to get out. And then you're a talented athlete and you have a chance. But you have somebody knocking at your door and they tell you, hey, we'll give you $100,000 if you come to our university. You mean to tell me that you would say no? I'm going to be honest with you. If I was in that situation, I don't know if I would have said no. I don't know. And I'm not making this a racial thing, but you can pretty much assume that the majority of these players were African-American players. And that's another thing, how, a lot of African-American players don't have some of the best living situations as well as opportunities. Not saying that all of them don't. I'm not saying all of them don't. But you get what I'm saying. It's tough. If I was faced with that same situation, I probably would have accepted that money too. To help my parents, to get them out of that situation as well. I find it hard pressed to believe that any child wouldn't, if they had the opportunity to do something for their parents, that they wouldn't do it. I find that hard to believe. But I digress. At the end of the day, they didn't have to accept that money. But that doesn't change the fact that these grown men who are in administrative positions, don't have to, go out and try to persuade these kids with money. They don't. They don't. And so with that being said, y'all, I feel like they deserve whatever is coming to them because you have corrupted the sport. And like I said, it would be crazy to say that this doesn't go on in the college football side of things. You see what I'm saying? And this is just the beginning, mind you. You get what I'm saying? These guys are not, when the FBI sit them down and say, look, if you give us more information, we'll decrease your time, or may not give them any time at all. I'm just waiting to see how big this snowball is going to get. How big it's going to get, because it's going to get pretty big. I think that it will. But what I'm wondering is, how is this going to change the scope of the NCAA? Because like I said, if they allow players to get sponsorships legally and things like that, you don't see these issues that's such an embarrassment. Now, I do see the downside of this is that, some schools, at that point, you'll have the best players going to the best schools. But do you not already have that? You get what I'm saying? The best players tend to go to the best schools. You already have that. You see what I'm saying? And how some colleges and universities and boosters aren't able to pay players as much as other players. Have you ever looked at the NFL? Have you ever looked at the NBA? Every team isn't willing to pay certain players certain amounts of money and things of that nature. I'm not saying make these kids millionaires, but if you're already on a $100,000 scholarship, I mean, you can limit the contracts to where they're in a way that everybody's kind of on the same level. You get what I'm saying? Like in the thousands, something. I'm not saying make them millionaires. No, give them maybe a couple $100,000 and then, per year, and then allow them to receive sponsorships, get profit off of their own jersey sales as well, get a percentage of jersey sales, and then like autographs, things like that, commercials, just open it up for them. Because those advertisers and stuff out there, they'd be more than willing to pay these athletes. And that's what I think on that. So NCAA, you in the hot seat. That's the end of that. I'm ranting.
Have a seat there and get comfortable for that.
On to more pressing or less pressing issues. Thursday Night Football. We have the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. I wonder, who do you have pick to win this game? Now, standings in the NFC North, there's actually a three-way tie for first between Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay. They're all at a .667 win percentage. They're all 2-1. And then you have Chicago sitting at the bottom of the NFC North at 1-2 with a .333 win percentage. But that doesn't mean that Green Bay is going to roll over the Bears, because this surprising statistic is, as many times as they've played each other, it's pretty much even as far as wins, losses, even points. I mean, it's almost even. Now, the balance has been swayed, in one side or another, beside, throughout history. Don't get me wrong, but it's a pivotal matchup. I don't think that, I think that right now everybody would look at Green Bay as being the heavy favorite with Aaron in there, but you can't count Chicago out. Looking at some team leaders for Chicago, Mike Glennon, he's had 72 completions, 107 pass attempts for 615 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has had 89 completions out of 134 attempts, 967 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's in the passing. You look at the rushing, Jordan Howard for the Bears, 45 carries, 199 yards. Tariq Cohen, 24 rushes, 157 yards, and by the way, touchdowns. Now, their running attack looks a lot better than Green Bay. We have Todd Montgomery, the wide receiver converted to running back, 41 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Aaron Rodgers is second with 13 rushes for 52 yards. So as far as running the ball, it looks like Chicago has an advantage. And passing the ball, of course, Aaron doing his thing as always. Receiving, Tariq Cohen also has 20 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. Kendall Wright, 10 receptions, 103 yards, no touchdowns yet. Zach Miller, 11 receptions, 98 yards, no touchdowns. And Deontay Thompson, 6 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. The Green Bay, of course, their stats are going to be better. Why? Because they have more passing yards, obviously. Devontae Adams leading the way with 14 receptions, 206 yards, and a touchdown. Geronimo Allison, 9 receptions, 146 yards, no touchdowns. Randall Cobb, third on the list with 15 receptions, 145 yards, no touchdowns. So he has more receptions, and it's just one less yard. So Randall Cobb definitely he has actually leading the team in receptions. But it's pretty spread out between him, Devontae, and Jordy Nelson, who is fourth on the list. 13 receptions, 131 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jordy Nelson is actually leading the charge in that regard. You look at the offensive comparison, total yards per game, Chicago is at about 305 yards a game. Green Bay is at about 360. Once again, like I said, very, very similar there. But this is where it breaks down, like I said earlier. Passing, when you break it down into rushing and passing, Green Bay leads the way with 291 yards a game, while Chicago is at 183. That's over 100 yards more through the air. But flip side that to rushing, Bears, 122 yards on the ground. Green Bay, only 69. Wow. So it's gonna come down to me to defense. I think that this game comes down to defense. Whose defense can do better? Whose defense can Green Bay's defense stop the run and force them to pass? And then flip side for Chicago, can you stop the pass and force Green Bay to run? It's going to be definitely a good game. It is what it is, man. Who are you picking? Comment down below. I'm also going to do a poll on Twitter. Who are you picking for the Green Bay and Chicago game for tonight? Also, I believe Aaron, I love calling him Aaron Rodgers. I'm wondering if they're going to do any unity stances and things like that to show unity throughout the NFL as well. some other notable games because it is a very, very good week of college and NFL games, as always, pretty much is the case. The NFL schedule, there are some notable games, y'all. There are some very notable games that, highlight the entire compass of the NFL. I don't know. So we have Thursday night game. We already went over that, Chicago and the Packers. Sunday, October 1st, Saints and the Dolphins. Who are you picking for that one? And I'm wondering, is AP going to be able to run that ball a little bit more? Talked about that in the live stream. Me personally, I don't feel like he's a good fit for the Saints, but I digress. That is a 8:30 game. Also, the Panthers and the Patriots. Now, the Patriots are coming off of a win against Houston where Deshaun Watson did pretty good for a rookie. Now, you have a guy in Cam Newton who can run the ball and is, to me, a more, not going to say a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, but he's gotten it done. He's gotten to the Super Bowl. So I wonder how they are going to play Cam Newton and the Patriots in this one. You have Jaguars facing off against the Jets. I'm going with the Jaguars in that one. Oh, yeah, let's back up a little bit. I'm going with the Saints over the Dolphins. And I think that the Patriots beat, Tom Brady, come on, man. You know what? I got to go with Cam. I think that the Panthers make some noise and beat the Patriots. Y'all can quote me on that. You also have the Houston Texans versus the Titans. Tennessee. That is going to be a pretty cool matchup. I think I really want to try to watch that game at 12 because you're going to have Marcus Mariota and he's an Oregon man, and y'all know me. I like Oregon, man. So that is going to be a pretty good matchup. It's going to be a pretty good game. Deshaun Watson, I think that the Texans have the advantage there. So I'm going with the Houston Texans on them. Go against my Oregon alum there or whatever, with Mariota. You have the Steelers versus the Ravens. Both teams coming off a loss last week. Interesting game. For that game, I'm probably going to go with the Steelers. I don't know, y'all. That's a tough one. It depends. If that team has worked out those issues that they had off the field, well, not really off the field, but off the field last week with the protests and things of that nature, if their mind is focused on football, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to just go with the Steelers on that. You also have the Bengals versus the Browns. Y'all know I'm going with the Browns. I think Deshaun Kaiser has a big game. I think he comes out for real in this game right here. I'm going to go with them over the Bengals because the Bengals have been struggling as well. Detroit and Minnesota. This is Trevor's team, the Lions, with Detroit. So I'm going to go with my boy Trevor on this one. And I'm picking Detroit to beat Minnesota, even though Minnesota is atop the NFC North. I'm going with Detroit on this one. Then you have a really good game between the Rams and the Cowboys. And I say it's a good game because the Rams been putting up points. If I'm not mistaken, they're leading the league in points scored. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'm not, and I know, I'm not, everybody, oh, you a Cowboy fan, you a Cowboy. No, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I just think that based off of how they played, I think they start to get it together. I think they start to gel, and I think they start becoming the team they were last year. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys on that one. Then you have the Buffalo Bills versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons in the power rankings, by the way, y'all, is number 1. I'm picking them over the Bills. I don't see how can you not pick Atlanta to beat the Bills. I'm going to put the Atlanta Falcons on upset alert because if they lose this game, it is because they lost the game. It's not because the Bills are a better team. I don't see the Bills being a better team than the Falcons right now. Also, you have the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost said San Diego. Los Angeles, the Chargers versus the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles on this one. 49ers versus the Cardinals. I'm going with the 49ers. I know they haven't been doing very well, but like I said, Arizona just hadn't been doing well either. But, I think the 49ers take that one. New York and Tampa Bay. I'm going with Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because the New York Giants have been struggling, and I don't see them coming out of those struggles so soon. especially with Odell Beckham facing the stuff that he's facing. Next game, a big game to me, and to me, this is the game to watch. If there was ever a game to watch this week in NFL, the Oakland Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. Now, Denver, we know they are boys. They may have lost the game, but so what? There's only been one team ever in the history of the NFL to go undefeated. Aside from the Patriots before they lost, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. I think that Oakland beats Denver. Yes, as good as that Broncos defense is, I think Derek Carr, Marshawn Lynch, Marty Cooper and them, Michael Crabtree, after what Josh Norman talked all that trash about them, I think they come out and try to prove a point against this Broncos defense. I'm picking Oakland over the Broncos. And then you have the Colts and the Seahawks. Seahawks all the way. The Colts, to me, right now, are a non-factor in the NFL. To me, they are actually the worst team in the NFL, if you ask me personally. And then you got my boy, the GOAT. His team, the Redskins, versus Kansas City. But GOAT, I'm have to go against you on this one, man. The Kansas City Chiefs are too powerful for the Redskins. It's going down. I'm picking these boys for the win. And it's funny that I end on that, y'all, because speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, they have the best running back in the NFL as of right now, statistic-wise, in Kareem Hunt, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all. Yeah. Kareem Hunt, y'all. This guy, if you haven't been keeping up, has been balling, man. Do you hear me? This kid has been on fire in the NFL. It's amazing. If he's not on your fantasy team and you're still a pick, you better go pick this guy up. He plays for Kansas City, of course. Played his college ball at Toledo. He's 22 years old, y'all. He was born in 95. You know how old I was in 95? I was like, what, 8 years old in 95? He's a baby. Nah. 5'11", 201 pounds. This kid can run. He can fly. Looking at his statistics from the past couple of games, of course, the first game that they came out of in the regular season against the Patriots, 17 rushes. And I'm going to mind you, this is fairly consistent. 17 rushes, 148 yards, averaged 8.7 yards against the Patriots. Had 1 touchdown, 5 receptions. Then against the Eagles, and that was on the road, mind you. That was at Foxborough. Now against the Eagles, 13 rushes, 81 yards. Average, though, 6.2 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, he didn't have 100, but 81 is awfully close and 2 touchdowns. And that average, though, his averages are sick, man. And then against the Chargers, 17 carries, 172 yards, averaged 10.1 yards a carry, y'all, and a touchdown. So looking at the total right now, he's had 47 carries for 401 yards, averaging 8.5 yards a carry, and has 4 touchdowns. That's amazing, man. I mean, he has more rushing yards by himself than a lot of the teams in the NFL have put together at this point. This kid is electrifying, and he is a rookie. And I don't know what it is about Kansas City, but if there was ever a guy, I mean, Jamal Charles before was phenomenal. And then to me, y'all, Jamal Charles is a guy who doesn't get the credit that is deserved to him. But I digress. This guy's coming in. Kareem Hunt is coming in, and he's picking up. Not only picking up, but he's at this point doing better at this point in his career than Jamal Charles did. And I was a huge Jamal Charles fan. I followed him out of Port Arthur Memorial, watched him in the Army All-American game, followed his career through Texas and his career with the Chiefs. I mean, the guy was phenomenal. Loved watching him play. But there's something special about this kid. And I really hope that he can continue to do great things in the NFL, as I do with all the players, man, all the players. But it's hard pressed that you find talent like that. Now, on the flip side of that, in the college football scene, some of the top 25 matchups and some notable games going on. Friday, you have Miami playing Duke. Miami is ranked. And now you don't want to count Duke out because Duke isn't the pushover that they used to be. I mean, they're definitely not a powerhouse, but they're definitely not where they used to be in that regard. You also have USC facing off against Washington State. Of course, let me backtrack. I'm picking Miami over Duke. USC, Washington State, I'm going with USC. USC has a stellar program. You know, they struggled a little bit dealing with those NCAA probationary periods and things of that nature, but it's USC, man. I mean, guys, come on. All right. And so those games are Friday, and this is top 25 matchups, y'all. So there are some other games going on, but and then Saturday, big day, Northwestern against Wisconsin, and I'm going with Wisconsin on this one. Northwestern is always kind of that team in the back that's not bad, and if you're not looking, they can sneak up on you. But I don't think that they sneak up on Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin comes prepared for this game. I'm picking them to beat Northwestern. Then you have Vanderbilt and Florida. Now, Vanderbilt got a thumping by Alabama last week. I'm going to predict that Vanderbilt is humbled, that they gather themselves, and that they put up a good fight against Florida, but not enough to win. I'm going with Florida over Vandy. Yes, that's an 11 o'clock game. And then South Florida and East Carolina. Y'all, it's going to be on. I'm going with South Florida because, y'all, South Florida has been making a lot of noise. Now, South Florida was good a while back, too. Don't get me wrong. They're not a pushover team by any means. But if there's a dark horse in the NFL, that's South Florida. This team is not getting a lot of recognition. They are getting some, but they can sneak up on some people right now. Then you have Louisville versus Murray State. And guess who I'm putting on upset alert? Yes. I guess, you know what? Let's put them in the hot seat.
Have a seat there and get comfortable for that.
And I know what you're gonna say. Well, how can you put them in the hot seat? Louisville has an awesome program because everything that's going on in their program. And I'm scared for Louisville, y'all, that they're gonna find some stuff in their football program as well. But I digress. These guys they're at these colleges, y'all, and it's hard to say. It's you can't just say, well, they're so big in the schools, they're not affected by what happens with the basketball program and things like that. Yeah, they are, man. Some of these kids are good friends with each other and things of that nature. I'm putting Louisville on upset alert from Murray State. I don't know why, y'all. Sometimes I like going for the underdog, and I hope that Louisville I'm putting them on upset alert because if they play to the level of Murray State, they'll lose this game, and this will be a bigger shock than Appalachian State beating Michigan. You get what I'm saying? And I'm hoping that my boy Lamar Jackson comes out and balls out. I'm hoping they ball out so hard that they take him out after the first half. But I'm still putting them on upset alert because if they are focused on other issues and if they come out flat, then Murray State has a chance to steal this one. Then you have Georgia at Tennessee. I'm going with the Bulldogs on that one. That's going to be a good game. Indiana at Penn State. Now, y'all, this running back from Penn State has been balling out. The guy is powerful. He's a powerful, quick, elusive back. He's the perfect combination of a running back. But I'm also going to put Penn State in the hot seat on upset alert. Yes. Penn State, sit down.
Have a seat there and get comfortable for that.
The reason I'm putting Penn State on upset alert is because I watched the opening season game against Indiana and Ohio State. And Indiana, y'all, Indiana's got a decent team this year. They played Ohio State very well. And if they can shut down this Penn State rush attack and force them to pass, I think that Indiana can come up with it. Because Indiana actually has a good pass defense from what I've seen. So I'm picking Indiana for the upset against Penn State. Y'all can count me on that one. I know people gonna boo and laugh and all that fancy stuff, but I'm serious, y'all. Indiana has a good team, so you don't want to count those guys out. Notre Dame against Miami of Ohio. I'm going with Notre Dame on that one. I don't think Miami of Ohio is a matchup for Notre Dame. Mississippi State and Auburn Interesting game here in the SEC. Mississippi State coming off a thrashing by Georgia last week. I think that the Bulldogs bounce back and show people that they are not a fluke. I pick Mississippi State over Auburn. Troy and LSU. Now LSU lost to Mississippi State, but that's not a bad thing. Mississippi State has been a good program, and they have played teams like Alabama very, very well. But I think the Bayou Bengals get it together in this new offense, and I think they beat Troy in this game. Now, a big game. Ohio State and Rutgers. I don't know about this one, y'all. I'm kind of in between because I want to go for Rutgers because Ohio State, while, yeah, everybody's, Ohio State this and Ohio State that, I don't think Ohio State is as good as they are this year. I don't see them even making it to the playoffs this year. Yes, I said it. I don't think Ohio State makes it to the playoffs. Yeah, laugh all you want to. I'm picking Rutgers to beat the Buckeyes on this one. And in Pac-12 action, you have Washington against Oregon State. I'm going with Washington. Washington has been a very good program and has produced some very good athletes. I'm picking them over the Beavers in this one. Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Very interesting matchup, y'all, because Oklahoma State was undefeated until they faced off against the TCU Horned Frogs last week, man. And I think that was a humbling experience. I think that Oklahoma State is a team that we'll see in the playoffs. I think Oklahoma State, when they face off against Oklahoma, will thrash the Sooners. So, in order for them to do that, they're going to have to beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech is not a bad team, but I think that this game, that Oklahoma State is going to come out, they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to play the rest of the season with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to take it out against Texas Tech. Texas Tech is in their crosshairs, if you will. And then a really big game, a couple of big games, two more, Clemson and Virginia Tech. Clemson and Virginia Tech. Yes. This game right here, y'all. This is going to be a game to watch. If there is any game to watch, well, there's several games to watch, but this is one of them. If you can watch this game, watch this game. You also have Ole Miss and Alabama playing too, which that's a game to watch too. Like, I don't know what game I'm going to watch. If I'm going to be able to watch Clemson and Virginia Tech, I'm going to be flipping back and forth because both of these teams are good. And I got to hurry up because we're running out of time. But Clemson and Virginia Tech, y'all, I'm going to have to go. I don't want to do this to Clemson because, gosh, that new quarterback, man, he's good. I think Virginia Tech pulls the upset on the Clemson Tigers and turns the college football world on its head. Ole Miss and Alabama, same scenario. Ole Miss has been a thorn in Alabama's flesh from time to time. I think they upset Alabama. I think this is going to be a week of a lot of upsets in the college football world. And then finally, Northern Illinois and San Diego State on the list. I'm going with my boys from Northern Illinois. My boy Juwan Johnson out of New Boston, Texas. Got player of the week in their conference when they played Nebraska for the pick six. I'm going with Northern Illinois. And the reason that's a big game, y'all, because Northern Illinois is a good team and San Diego State is having a good season as well, y'all. So you definitely don't want to count them out. So that's our take on the NFL and college football games for this week. Electrifying. So, y'all, there's a lot of stuff going on, y'all. And one thing that I want to tell people is have fun. If I can leave one message with y'all, it is to have fun and enjoy life, man. Because while we may not agree on some things, everybody's not going to agree on the same thing. Don't let that separate us. Don't let that tear us apart. Because at the end of the day, we all human. That's all we got for right now. The DM Gaming Morning Show, y'all. It has been awesome. It has been so awesome. Signing off like we sign off always. Follow us on Twitter at DM Gaming 5. Follow us subscribe to the YouTube channel. DM Gaming 06. Till next time, y'all. And God bless.